Looks like we're live. Yes, we're gonna have Clive Thompson and John Perez. They're coming on in a few minutes. And yes, the title of the live stream is Gold Up 15,714% since FDR and the bankers defaulted in 1933. Yes, it was a default. They didn't have enough gold to pay out creditors, including the Patriots that bought all the Liberty bonds in 1918. That was one of the reasons why the U.S. government, banned gold and went off the gold standard domestically. That's the only reason why. And with foreigners, of course, there's always devaluation. That's what they did. They devalued the dollar, the currency, and they revalued gold from $20.67 to 35. So that was a default as well. So that's what we're going to cover a little bit today, and the fact that I think the last 0.6% of the value of the paper dollar could evaporate very quickly. So we're gonna cover that. So I'm just gonna have a look at all of you here on the chat. We got Jake's custom parts, Carbone from Florida, Carbone 239, Hannah. Yeah, Rudy is here. There he is. Neil Tati, Eclair, Eclair Trio from Wood Hill. No, says woohoo. Glad to catch a live show from Arizona. LT Flying. Looking forward to the discussion from Arkansas. Paul Trainer BSC says, good evening, Mario. Cool brother says, Mario. Richard King. Hi Ho Silver. Andrew Brown. Andy Brown. And Durarama, he's a regular and has been for a very long time. Aaron says revaluation soon. Well, who knows? It's already being revalued by the market, but we could see, yeah, that's how it's done. And even in 1933, prior to 1934, when they revalued it officially, the international market, the price of gold was going up versus the dollar, even though it was fixed in the US at $20.67. Richard on cars from Cologne in Germany. Mark C.H. from Billericay in Essex. Hannah is here. Scott R. Eggs are $6 for 18 at Sam's Club. Joanne Diaz, good afternoon from Puerto Rico. Chris Conman, hi Chris, nice to see you. He says, hi Mario and Rudy. Jim Cairns from Scotland. KQD from New Zealand. Yeah, it's April 14th there, so it's Monday. Peter B from West Sussex. Dusty Dog 888 from FEMA Region 8. I think Alex Jones used to use that term. I think, is it FEMA Region 10, Texas? I'm not sure. Richard Tugas from Montreal says bonjour. Jiru De Voice from Scheveningen. Is that in the Netherlands? Noah's Evolution from the Moon. The Moon's a Balloon. That was a book, I think, by David Niven. The Moon's a Balloon. Echo Echoes here. Darren Smith. Sunny Bungalow from Connecticut. Belly Dance Arabia. Says happy Passover, everyone. Jock Mahon, thank you for the super chat. Please read The Fruits of Graft. Yeah, I've got that book, and I've also got the Diary of Benjamin Roth. That's a good one too. Well, the dollar is Andy, it's complete, it's melting down. Purchasing power is going down. That's what gold is telling us. It takes a few months or like a year and a half for it to be translated in a much weaker currency. And a weaker currency means you buy fewer things. And it's not just the dollar, it's every fiat currency out there that's going down and the dollar making new highs. Sorry, the gold is making new highs. Spare a dime from Canada. Oh, Michael Kennedy says McElroy double bogey the first. I turned it off to start the live stream. I saw his third shot was a bit long. So yeah, that's not a good start, a double bogey. Um, not good at all. Let's hope he settles down. Frank Vidya, thank you for your super chat. Chance Federal Reserve intervenes in the next month. Well, there is a chance, yeah. There was a Fed governor, no, not governor, Fed governor, Boston Federal Reserve. She said that, yeah, I forgot the exact word, but she said they're ready to do something if needed. So you could be right. Native American McElroy playing like a fiat currency. Well, yesterday he played very like gold. He had a couple of eagles, and I think he started birdie, eagle, birdie, birdie, which is pretty good. But anyway, I'll be watching the rest after I finish here. Hi, Jason G. What's up? Printer's coming. It's possible. There's also some news over the weekend about these. Trump has exempted Apple from tariffs. Well, he didn't say Apple, but iPhones and computers. Well, that's because I think the CEO of Apple had uh, made a phone call to the Treasury Secretary and wasn't happy. Apparently, Apple was in big trouble. So, but Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, came out today and said, "Oh, it's only going to be temporary." So, it's not going to help really to say it's only going to be temporary. So things are getting more and more topsy-turvy, and I know that a lot of people think this is 4D chess from Trump. But I'm sorry, this isn't for the chess anymore. It's just big and big mistakes. And I saw there are rumors that Navarro, the trade advisor, he's going to get the sack, but we'll have to wait and see. So a lot going on. Uh, Apple stock pump tomorrow? Maybe a little bit, but then with the comment from Lutnick, it doesn't help. He says it's only going to be temporary. So I'm not sure what they're playing at. Golden Sun, thank you for your super chat. Hello from A2 Michigan. Dutch Libertarians here. Alex Bekoff followed your recommendations years ago, bought gold coins and very happy. Well, I'm glad you did. Um, Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm continuing to add on whenever I can. It's getting harder and harder because the price is going up, and I think it's going to continue. I think a lot of people are going to they're going to regret not having some gold. Uh, I think Clive is here and John Perez is coming on just now too. Uh, Mr. Croto says, what's your take on Britannia's or sovereign? Both are good. Uh, I have both. They're both coins of the realm, and they're both capital gains tax exempt here in the UK. Dutch libertarian. Oh, hi, John. Hi, Clive. How are you guys
Hello,
doing?
good evening, Mario.
Hello, Mario. Hello, Clive. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Hello, John.
Yeah, so I always started a little earlier. I was just saying hello to the viewers, and the title today, guys, just to refresh, is gold up 15,714% since FDR and the bankers defaulted in 1933, and the paper dollar has lost 99.363%. So we're in the last point six or so. So I'll start with Clive. Nothing against you, John. It's just that he got here first, so he gets the conch.
Hey, we're all winners in this market. We're all
Yeah.
winning in this market. Have
So
at it, Clive.
yeah. So what's your take on how long it might take for the dollar to go to zero versus gold? I mean, that's not just the dollar, the paper dollar, but all currencies as well.
I think it's time for some kind of reset. It's coming. I don't want to say it's tomorrow or next week or even this year, but I think it's coming in the next few years. And the reset will probably take a different form from the way it's taken in the past. I'm thinking probably along the lines of a dual currency system where you have inside the domestic economies, you have basically two currencies running, one which is running for investment purposes and the other one which is running for what you can spend in the shops. And they're going to control the second one, I think, in a way which basically means your two currencies are not worth the same. So your old dollars will not be worth as much as your new dollars, and eventually they'll expire worthless. So that's kind of how I think the currency would reset would happen. It won't be that your dollars become worthless because some of them will be changed to the new one, but the ones which you're not allowed to change will eventually go to zero. That's how I think it will happen. And how long it will take? I think it's before 2030.
All right. Well, that sounds reasonable. John, what's your take on all of this?
Well, I'm going to have an out of the box take on this here. So I got to stick with my consistency of a constant conspiracy going on out there. Well, anyhow, I'm in agreement with a Clive in that it's going to. Well, this is a long process. I mean, if you stop and think about it, this has been going on for a while, and even Trump has been very clear saying that we cannot lose the global reserve status because it'd be like losing World War III, World War II, World War III. And it was really strong words that he used when he said that. And so I'm sure he didn't come up with that idea in this term, but probably in his first term, he probably came up with that. Also, the situation with, we have the live feed coming in at Fort Knox. And like Clive said, a reset. Look, they're assessing that gold at $42 an ounce. So the idea of resetting that price of gold, when would be the best time? I think with Elon is bringing his live feed cameras into Fort Knox with Trump. I think that's going to be a great time to basically put it in the public eye that, hey, we have gold here, and for many people, it's going to be, gee whiz, we have gold. We have a lot of money, don't we? He says, oh, by the way, it's set at $42 per ounce. Maybe it's time to bring this up to retail price or maybe even higher. And this week, just today, just in the last couple of days, Goldman Sachs raised their upper high rate on gold to 3,500 ounce. And then UBS in the last 48 hours raised their price target to $3,500 an ounce. So I thought that was interesting. They were both on the same page here. But all the big old banks, they've revised their target numbers on gold and they pushed them up higher. So, but back in terms of timing, I mean, impossible to pick the right date. But if I was to be, when it comes to the dollar losing its status, like you said, it's down 99%. I mean, there's nothing left. I mean, we're running on the tire. It's like having a flat tire. You got about 4 pounds left before you get on the wheels and just
Yeah.
strip the tire
Yeah.
out.
I would
So,
add though, John, sorry to interrupt you, that it's not just the dollar that has lost 99%. It's all I think the Swiss franc and the Singapore dollar, they're the best in the out of the bunch. The cleanest shirt. I forgot the term, but they've
in the
lost,
laundry.
yeah, in the laundry. But I brought this chart up because, like you said, John, this has been a long-term process. I mean, it sped up in the 70s when Nixon took the dollar internationally off gold. And then we had this consolidation here in the 80s until 2000. And this was pretty smooth and controlled, the 2000s. We had the housing bubble. We had the stock market rebounded from the crash in 01, 02. But I have a feeling now that, after this breakout last year, we could see this. Someone might argue, oh, this is going to take another 8 years, or, like it took here and here. But the system is so out of whack now. There's so much debt and there's so much geopolitical and trade tension out there that we could see this really speed up. And you mentioned the revaluation, John, and Fort Knox. And it's interesting because one of the followers, one of the viewers who's also follows me on Patreon, and if and on Patreon, all you need to do if you want to follow me there, uh, the minimum you need to put is like $1 a month, and then you can ask me questions and I'll answer them. And sometimes they send me stuff too. And this guy here, I didn't, I'm not gonna give his name, but he sent this to me, and this was a letter he got, an email he got from Birch Gold, who's also who's sponsored by Donald Trump Jr. And I noticed that a few
wow.
months ago, right? And this is what they're telling their customers. It says gold revaluation, the opportunity smart investors are watching Patriot. Did you know the U.S. government has? And this is Donald Trump Jr. talking to the customers. He said, "Did you know the U.S. government has the legal power to change the price of gold with a stroke of a pen? Let me share what Washington insiders are quietly discussing." And it says right here, my father's administration is exploring a powerful economic tool, the Gold Reserve Act. That's 1934. This law gives the Treasury the authority to revalue America's gold reserves on the national balance sheet from their outdated book value of 42 to current market prices. That would put a rocket up gold. And it says, why would my father's administration do this? It would, one, immediately strengthen America's financial position. Two, signal gold's renewed importance. I mean, he's right about that in our monetary system. Three, prepare America for a new era of sound money principles. And then he talks a little more about some stuff here. But the other thing that this gentleman who sent me the message said, uh, is this revaluation from his son about his father. Pretty hard to walk this back when you consider the potential liability exposure to Don Jr. if people sign up with Birch Gold and revaluation never materializes. I mean, why would he even agree to or even bother to do this? So I'll let you chime in first, John, and then Clive this time.
Well, it's funny because that was just what I was just saying. $42, they can do it at the stroke of a pen. I mean, if Trump, when it comes to Trump, bottom line is executive order. I mean, if he wants it done, it's done. And he wants a lower dollar, he wants lower rates. And it comes to timing. I do have a position on timing. And this is going to be a surprise. It goes right along with what Don Jr. was saying. If if you remember when the Russian ruble was sanctioned in January, February of 2022, when they went to special military operation, you saw the ruble just go crash. I mean, they was just getting wiped out. And what happened? They put gold under it, a gram of gold that they mixed it into a basket with the ruble, and it bounced, and it was the best performing currency of the year. I do believe that Trump is going to do the same model. They're going to bring down the dollar. They're going to have to drop the rates here for all the damage control with the tariffs here. And I believe they're going to bring it down, and we're going to go into a really, what I call a sharp recession depression. I think the damage here from the tariff and the weakness of the dollar is going to be very destructive. But also at the same time, bringing that dollar down allows them to refinance the debt at a much lower rate. But it also, if the Dow tanks down to say 25,000, then we can look at the Dow 1-to-1 Dow to gold ratio. Now, in terms of timing here, when could this happen? I think it's going to be, first of all, they got to get the gold out in the public eye with Elon. And then remember what Judy Shelton, she tweeted out that the US dollar should be good as gold on July 4th, 2025. I thought that was a signal. I kind of took a look at that. I said, my timeline is here. Bring down the rates, bring down the dollar. And like Don Jr. said, it's a new era. Trump's been signaling this for a while. He wants to bring, the biggest currency manipulator in the world, he calls China. But we all know America is the biggest currency manipulator in the world. And just take a look at the dollar. We're at 99%. Where do we go from here? We're almost at zero. Well, just push that last percent down and then follow the Russian model of revaluating the gold at Fort Knox, stroke of a pen, and then putting it under the dollar when it's at its lowest, like the ruble, and then connecting that 40-year Treasury in July or by July on around the Judy Shelton comment. This is my opinion. This is my speculation, but I do believe that the efforts are in place to do that. But Don Jr. putting out something like this, which I was not aware of, timing like this, his timing of this is exactly what I'm telling all my people in our group here, in our groups. And it has been, to me, this is what I see timing wise. I think Trump's going to move quicker than most people are expecting here. So timing wise, I think between now and what we see in July 4th, that's going to be that's the window that I'm looking at here time wise.
Clive, what do you?
I certainly agree with John. We're likely to see a lower dollar, not because of the tariffs, because in a way the tariffs should push the dollar higher, but because of the uncertainty around everything which is going on with America. But also because I think we will, over the coming months of this year, we'll have multiple cuts in the Federal Reserve rate. And I think the reason they're going to do that is because the USA will be going into a recession. There'll be higher unemployment. And they're going to disregard the inflation rate, which will be rising. They're going to disregard that on the grounds that the tariffs are a one-off and it isn't really relevant to the real underlying rate of inflation. So to try and boost unemployment, which will be rising, in my opinion, with the recession, which I think is coming, they will cut the rates many times. And that of course, would boost gold. The other question is, if they do revalue gold, what's the benefit to America unless they can in some way monetize that? So I think the way, if I was doing it, if I was in charge of the Treasury, I would require the Treasury owns the gold, it's not the Federal Reserve, by the way. I would require the Federal Reserve to buy that gold off me at market price, and then as the Treasury, I'd immediately buy it back a few seconds later at maybe a 1 cent profit for the Federal Reserve. Now, in doing that, it enables the Federal Reserve to print the entire value of the gold that they're buying in paper dollars, of course, they can print it. And because they're paying that to the Treasury now got money to spend. But of course, you say, what happens when the Treasury buys the gold back the next day or the next minute? Well, the Treasury's not going to pay for it with paper dollars or electronic money. The Treasury's going to pay for it with exactly what they paid for the gold back in 1934. They're going to pay for it with what they call gold notes, which are not redeemable in gold at all, but they'll give the Treasury back some gold notes, which won't be part of the official debt. So effectively, the higher the price of the gold, the more money the Treasury gets to spend and the less it needs to borrow. And we mustn't, and as far as timing is concerned, I think July is a very important date because the US government is going to effectively run out of money by August. Don't forget they have a debt ceiling which started on the 1st of January or the 3rd of January this year. And now to pay the bills, they're running down their cash balances, they're raiding the the government pension plans. And but they will get to a point where they can't do any more, according to all reports, probably in early August. So if they take no action on the gold front, come early August, they're going to have to raise a huge amount of money, many, many hundreds of billions of dollars, probably a trillion or more, all in one go. And the natural buyers of those treasuries look like they're backing away.
Yeah.
Foreign governments are backing away. So where did they get the money? Revaluing the gold would solve that because that would put 800 or a trillion into the coffers straight away.
The other thing it would do, even though the Treasury gets Federal Reserve notes from it, and the Federal Reserve gets gold certificates. The Federal Reserve will be able to pad up its balance sheet because they're running a lot of losses, aren't they? So that would kill two birds with one stone. I wanted to show you this. I saw this on X. I think it was Ronan Manley from Bullion Star who put that up. That's Elon and Trump in Fort Knox. A lot of spider's web and not much gold in there, according to this.
It
So
looks like cheese.
yeah, I think just doing a live stream and going in there and looking at a few bars, that will not do. It has to be a independent full audit, I think. And who knows? I think they might be still uh, repatriating a lot of physical gold to the U.S. I think it was Secretary of the Treasury Bessent in his, I think it was in an recent interview, he almost choked when he said the gold's going back to New York. So he doesn't want people to know that. Uh, what else I wanted to show here? Well, that's the Masters. Hold on. Oh yeah, Clive, you sent me this. Uh,
Yep.
Comex 100-ounce gold futures. Uh, can you tell us what it means, all this delivery? Is that more physical gold taking
So
out of the Comex?
So the chart we're looking at here is a chart of the delivery notices. Delivery notices where the gold is changing hands because someone has bought a future and someone has sold a future, and that gold is changing hands. Normally, these futures just get rolled over month after month, and there's no delivery notice, or not much of the way of delivery. So if we look back over all the way back to I start the chart in 2023, the delivery notices are sort of depending on the month between 6 and 20,000 contracts of 100-ounce bars. But we had very unusually high deliveries in the month of February. So February a year ago, 2 years ago was 20,000. A year ago was I'm looking at it on the chart. 2020, yeah, February 22 was 20,000. In February 25, it was 76,000 contracts were delivered. March is usually a slow month, and it was a little bit above normal. But now we're back to we're now having a look at
April.
the April deliveries, and we're 11 days into April, and we're up to 60,000 contracts. When for the whole of April last year, it was below 20,000. So someone somewhere is taking a large number of deliveries of 100-ounce bars, and it's already three times, more than three times the same month a year ago as was February. So, yeah, this is the question. Someone, as you say, Mario, it might be the government taking delivery of bars themselves to stock up their gold reserves for some reason, but someone out there, it might be a foreign government, it might be, I've already said it might be Berkshire Hathaway. We don't know.
Yeah.
Someone is taking a lot of deliveries
And
at
I
this
think
moment.
the other thing they need to do, because if you take delivery, then you have to ask for withdrawal. Then it actually goes outside Comex registered vaults. That's the other thing. What do you think about this, John?
Well, I had February 2025 was a 3-year anniversary for our stock group. And I told everyone to focus on February. And I saw those numbers there. And February these numbers, I mean, the number that Clive just gave here, if you combine the two there and you look at the combined four numbers you have here in the past, we've got a couple years of delivery going out right away. And, we're, of course, we're not seeing it in the price because we know the price is suppressed and manipulated. But look, if it, again, back to the price of gold, I mean, let's say the government, in my opinion, I believe it's the government taking delivery of this stuff here. So what are they paying for it? Are they paying? Well, at the stroke of a pen, if it's a national security issue, which it most likely is, they can be taking delivery of this thing because no one's leaking any information, which tells me right there that somebody knows like this is not the information you leak out, because these are massive numbers. Generally, something like this gets leaked out. So I do believe that this is likely the Trump administration here getting this, but also regarding Fort Knox, a lot of people forget that Steve Mnuchin went into Fort Knox and he took photographs underground in the vault. Supposedly, he reported, and they're all over. You type in Steve Mnuchin, Fort Knox. He took pictures of the bars, scales, and everything else, holding the bars there. So there's gold in there, and unless he, decided to make fake pictures there. If you type in Steve Mnuchin, Fort Knox, you'll see the photographs there of him in the vaults there.
With his wife, wasn't he? She's like a model or something.
It's pretty. He's holding that big sheet of dollar bills there, and I think that was very symbolic. I think there was a message being sent. Like I think that message from Steve Mnuchin is, "Hey, we have the gold, and I have the girl." And
but he actually said gold is safe. He didn't say the gold here is safe, which I don't know.
yeah,
I've got
But let's get real. Nobody, no single person can count those gold bars unless there's several people counting them for days, if not weeks.
we got a super chat. Monica, thank you. Mario, how can you move your gold and silver from the USA to South America legally and easiest? Airlines, shipping, what is the best method? Uh, well, first of all, I've never done that, moved gold to South America, but it should be just like shipping anything abroad, I guess. You just have to check with the country that you're going to send to in South America if there are any rules, but I don't know the rules here. I think most countries would expect you to declare what it is.
yeah.
Some of them might have a tax. I don't know. Do you know? Do you guys know?
I
Well,
had a
the way you
client.
move gold.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Clive. Go ahead, Clive.
Well, I was just going to say the normal way to move gold is you call one of the security companies, like in the UK it'd be Brinksmat. I'm not sure who it is in the United States on the spur of the moment, but you call the security company and they will move your gold for you for a relatively small fee.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just freight. It's just weight. It's heavy. It's weight and insurance on it. I had a client who was moving uh to Asia, and he had a lot of physical silver and gold. And he asked me, I said, "What would you do?" I said, "Personally, I said, since I'm in the biz, at that time I was trading full time. I said I would just sell it and just rebuy it over there, find do your homework, and if you have to deal with the shipment, or just you same thing Clive said, call up here. I know that we used Brinks in moving a lot of metal, and it was actually it was reasonable. But again though, each country has its rules. I mean, look, if you're bringing something to the United States, will it get tariffed? You know, can you get tariff? I mean, right now, if you were moving from China to the United States, chances are
There's
your
no
gold will get
tariff
tariffed.
on bullion.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So
Oh,
if
but
if Trump really wants to break the Comex and break the silver price, let it go. Just tariff gold and silver, and then you know reset tariff the gold and silver, and then open up Fort Knox, and then reset the price.
ounces, thank you for your super chat. Ounces says, however you move your gold, make sure it's insured. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you can do DHL, I think. I don't know if they do, Brinks. Yeah, and especially now with the price going up, you need to insure it.
The other thing to say, Mario, is if the gold is in custody with a bank as opposed to in her personal possession, the way to move it is tell your bank to move it. They do that all the time.
Yeah, I don't think any American banks hold gold.
Oh, they don't know.
Yeah, they
They
have
don't
no
like,
clue. No,
yeah.
Clive thinks that banks are like the Swiss banks, but they're not. I think Switzerland is still the only country left where the banks sometimes deal in gold. But Sazmit, thank you for your super chat. Do you do you know real de-dollarization started in 2021? Uh, yeah, I mean it's been going on in my opinion uh for since the '08 crisis because I think China especially they saw that they were very vulnerable to something happening because I think China had a lot of mortgage-backed securities and the Fed had to save the system. And I think they've been slowly unwinding their treasury holdings and buying gold slowly. But I'm not sure why you're mentioning 2021. I would have thought, guys, that when the special military operations started in 2022 and they froze Russia's reserves, that's when the dollarization really accelerated, not 2021. But you might know about something that happened in 2021.
Well, and if you look at Russia, they started accumulating gold in 2008, 2009. I mean, they've been piling gold. Vladimir Putin, for years, I call it the greatest gold bull in the world is
Yeah,
Vladimir Putin. And
yeah,
they were preparing, and it was in 2014. I mean, you want to talk about de-dollarization. How about de-swiftization? It was in 2014 when Russia began work on creating the alternative to SWIFT. That's 11 years. So
yeah.
they've had plenty of time to develop it and now test it. And I do believe that China and Russia have just begun uh, a a a separate system outside of SWIFT. It's most likely that system. It was interesting because I actually read an article by the actual programmer to the new Russian SWIFT system, and he said something really interesting. He went and said it is it is unbiblical for us to be operating on such a fiat system with Swift. So we have to make something that's more moral for the people. I thought that was an interesting comment
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
from a
The-
Swift banker, Russian banker.
Sorry, I would say about Russia as well. You probably follow Gada and Bill Murphy. They had like a conference in the Klondike in 2005, and one of the attendee attendees and speaker was an economic advisor to President Putin. So the Russians know about the manipulation and the gold leasing and how leveraged the bullion banks are. And I think, John, they might have started buying in '06 aggressively. What about you, Clive? What do you think about this
Well,
de-dollarization?
yeah, I mean, the need by many countries to have a plan B for trade is definitely there. Um, Obviously, this isn't the plan of the United States. They don't want these countries to have any alternative means of trade. They want the countries to deal in dollars as they always have done because that creates a demand for dollars and gives the dollar its value. But it's clear to me that countries which are, let's say, at risk of no longer being friends with the United States for whatever reason, must be thinking about a plan B. And I think it'd be, from my side, I don't see why it should take so many years to set up. It'd be quite easy. You set up a central bank. The central bank holds gold on behalf of many of these countries, and then you have a certain amount of the domestic currencies which can change hands. In a bit, you make a uniform currency for that purposes, like the EMU or the ECU as we had in Europe before the euro came into existence. So you make a uniform currency with deposits from each country, including gold. And if the imbalance between the countries gets too big, gold moves from the ownership of country A to country B, but stays inside the central bank, wherever that is, perhaps in Switzerland.
The other thing that I think is accelerating or will accelerate de-dollarization is what's happening now. I think a lot of countries are have been rattled by this tariff war, and the constant change of rules in the last few weeks that they're going to say, yes, we still want to deal with the U.S., but we don't want to be 100% dependent on them, and I think that's gonna hurt, unfortunately, the U.S. and the dollar. But some people say that's what Trump wants to do. He wants to destroy the globalists, but we'll have to see. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. The question is, now that gold has clearly broken out, what will be the catalyst for silver to follow suit? What is your ETA for this? Thank you. Well, I'll start with John Perez, who is the silver guru, really, here.
Well, look, there's an operation going on right now. So, and we noticed it this week, all Tuesday through Friday, silver and gold traded at 100 to 1 right there, and they fixed at 101. I said, there's something going on here. I'm not used to this operation going on. I think eventually we're going to see gold pull back. I think it's going to be a planned pullback where people are going to take. I mean, look, gold is up what 25% for the year. Generally there's a pullback in gold in the third, fourth week of April for people to sell in profits to pay their taxes. So we're going to see a pullback sometime here later in April. And I think that when that money comes out, it's going to obviously it has to go. It's going to go into silver. I think the time is coming where people. I mean, I have some of my people. It's like asking, is it a good time to sell some gold and buy silver? I said, absolutely. They bought gold at 1650, 1700. They're in the money here. I said, silver hasn't moved, so it's going to move, and it'll move much more violently, much quickly here. So I think the catalyst for silver, it's already there. I think it's more of a geopolitical, I think there's some sort of economic operation going on right now because fundamentally silver should be, 225 right now, even higher. So there's fundamentally, we know it should be higher, but I think we're going to be looking at an operation here coming here very soon, maybe after tax time, but after maybe a pullback in gold wouldn't surprise me in the 3,500 range here. And we could be there in 2 weeks. We could be at 3,500. I wouldn't be surprised to see 3,400, $3,500 gold this month here towards the end of the month, and then a blow off big run leading up to May 17th. May 17th last year, we broke $30 silver here. This last full moon on March 14th, we broke 3,000 here. And we're just coming out of another full moon. I will not be surprised to see the record on Friday, which we saw, and then another record tomorrow here. So there's an operation going on here. But the catalyst for silver, I think it's really the true catalyst for silver. It's really just patience, and you got to be in the game. Because if you're looking for a catalyst or a trigger for silver to move and you're reacting or responding, so how silver is, it just takes
Oh
off.
yeah, you won't be able to get in. You have to be in it. Yeah. So Clive, what do you think about? I personally think, and I've said this many times though, but I think this 100 to 1 is not going to last very long. And silver, I saw on Friday, it started the day slowly, but it caught up and outperformed gold.
Well, Barry, I don't really follow werewolves, so I don't keep my eye on the full moon either. So I'm not sure that stargazing is going to tell me the answer to that. But we've come so close to the edge with silver over and over again. We've come up to that sort of 35, nearly 35 or even nearly 36 or $34 level, which looks like a breakout. It looks like it's about to break. It hasn't quite done it. And I'm saying, well, we need to be sustained above 36. We haven't got above 36. And I think a lot of people have been very disappointed about that. We've got up there, we've come down. We've got up there, we've come down. We've got up there. So I think next time it happens, nobody's going to believe it's going to happen. And that could be self-fulfilling to bring silver back, go up to 35, 36, and then come back down again to the sort of 31, 32 level. And then one day, and I don't know on the timing of this, but one day it's going to get through that $36 level, and then it's plain sailing way above 40. We go very, very fast. But when it happens, it'll go fast. You won't have time to buy at that point. So the time to buy for those who are interested is before. But as John says, you have to be patient. You don't know when it's going to break out. Well, maybe if you're looking at the stars and the moon, you can tell, but I can't.
Well, this guy here, he's a good technical analyst on X, Grady. He's from Sweden, and he says, been saying for a year that silver is climbing the right side of the orange rounded bottom arc. was rejected at 35 again, then crashed back tested 28.50. So that was here. Then went back up above the orange line. Once above 35, it's go time. Yeah. So
I agree there. I'm in agreement. 35.40. Well, look at the
yeah,
35.
and
Yeah.
last week, it bounced really sharply. I think it was overnight on Monday. It went to 28.30 or 28.50, and then I mean we closed above 32, and yeah. So patience, though, like you guys said, that's really important.
So getting big silver is like surfing, and growing up surfing in Southern California, when the big waves came, if you had to be outside the breaks pretty farther than everybody else if you were waiting for the big wave swells. And you had to be patient because sometimes waves would come by too small. But when you're out there, but when the big one shows up, everybody that's inside, they have to paddle out before they get crushed by the wave. And of course, if you're out there and you're patient, you wait, it'll show up, and then you get to ride the big one. So for silver people out there, just make sure you're in the water. And if you're looking for the big one, just paddle out and be patient. You'll see it when it comes here. The fun part is when it's a really big wave and someone says outside and you see everyone scurrying to get to the wave there because that's what's going to happen. And I won't be surprised. I just recently there was a gentleman on Twitter. I saw a story who bought $1 billion in physical silver.
Oh
I thought
yeah,
this
David Bennett is
I think it's Bateman.
Bateman.
And
Sorry, yeah.
yeah, and I said, this guy is in it. He's going for the big kahuna. You would say $1 billion in physical silver. This guy's in. He's all in now. This silver just got to move, boom, right past 35 to $40, and he's in. And I'm sure he's not sitting staring at the screen. He bought it for the long haul. Patience there. I wouldn't worry much about it, but I know with silver, when it does move, it will be just like a big wave in surfing. You got to be outside when that big wave comes. You don't want to be chasing it and then turning around. You want to be there, catch it, and ride the wave in there and watch everyone getting smashed on the way down the face by a big wave there. It's coming though. Patience is the most important thing to have in silver. You got to be patient.
Clive, I've got the Silver Miners ETF here, which did quite well last week as well. And it looks like it could be a bear trap because we made like a a 2 month low here, and then it just jumped. How do you see the miners? Do you follow the silver miners, Clive, I guess?
Well, I don't watch it on a minute by minute basis. I'm not,
Yeah, no.
I'm in there for the long time. I'm in there for the long run. I do have it, and clearly we've got a market of stocks and a stock market. So when we have a news story, and tariffs were a news story, a big news story, prices of things moved down. So of course, when stocks started selling off, there were margin calls going out all over the place. People were panicking. There were people saying, "Oh, this is my chance to buy Nvidia, which has come off its highs or whatever it is. What can I sell? Oh, silver's done nothing, or the silver ETF has done nothing for years. I'll sell that." So there was a lot of panic buying into that. But at the same time, when this sell-off happened, there was another group of people saying, "I'm out of stocks. I'm not going back there. I've lost money on stocks. What can I play?" And they're looking around, and I think that was what caused the rebound in the silver price, and of course the rebound in the ETF, which you saw was a lot more volatile in both directions than the silver price itself. And that's because silver miners have a leveraged effect. Because if a miner's mining its silver at $25 and selling it at 30, it's making a $5 profit. But if that silver price goes to 35, it's doubled its profits because it's now making $10 profit. So
Yeah.
whereas the silver price might have only risen by about 20, 15%. So when the silver price moves, you can expect a leveraged effect on the silver miners, provided people are paying attention to it at the time, which they obviously were last week.
Yeah,
Yes.
ounces. Thank you for the super chat. Ounces says the average gold silver ratio from 1970 to 2024 was 58.2. Being at 100 to 1 currently is way out of the norm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Uh,
They don't listen, they don't want anybody having silver. They don't want, look, I've said this before. You'll never hear Trump say the word silver unless he's talking about hair. You know, he's he's not going to say anything about silver. Period. Gold he's talked about, but he won't. But I'll predict though at the right time he will say it because remember too, he Liberation Day to where they started the tariffs. A lot of people missed the fact that on that same day, that was the same day Delta that they demonetized gold in the Act of 1873. That was on the same day. And I think that was a signal also the day before. I believe that was when they signed the agreement to make coinage in silver and gold in another act, I think in 1742, but it was in 1873.
1792,
Yeah.
1792. That was
Yeah. So
the Coinage Act of 1792, and the dollar was defined as a way to silver and gold.
yeah, so we've already been bimetallic. And personally, in my opinion, I believe we're going to go back to bimetallic and back to money. Trump tweeted out in January 2017 that silver is money. That's where I got the name of my group, Silver is Money. I just took it from Trump, and he said that silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet and has been money throughout all of history here. And I think that's really important to know because Trump does say things years out and then comes back and say, well, if you were, let's say you took silver was 1650 when he tweeted that out. If you just took $1 million and bought silver on that one comment, most undervalued asset, tell you, okay, you're up 100%. But now, if you go into the equities, what Clive was talking about, the leverage is in the stock market and the silver equities, and you have to be in those if you're going to play that market. Once you have your physical, you stored it, you buy it, you bury it. You know, it's your body armor. It is your insurance plan. You just buy it and forget it. Then from there, you want to go. You know, you want to have some fun. The money's going to be in the silver and gold juniors. We had millions and millions of dollars came into our sector here, tens of millions in the last week. It was the biggest month ever for our group. It was just wild. So much money was pouring in, and I just said, look, you guys, this. I've seen this before here. And with all the things that are out there right now, just sit back tight. I think this week, I think, is going to be our biggest week ever here in silver gold stocks. We had some stocks; they were all running, and so I've talked about shorting of these stocks here. There was an unusual movement, double-digit movements in multiple stocks there.
Well,
And
I
I think
noticed the stocks that I hold in the beginning of the week, they were flat since I bought them, and now they're way up. And Friday was huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
do that again. Do that again, Mario. I like that. Way up.
Yeah.
Yes, I
There's
was on camera.
another chart here from that Swedish guy Grady. I just want to show you about of silver. He's got an interesting, uh, yeah. So he said he thinks, note what happened after the previous huge breakout. He thinks 2025 and beyond will be huge. I agree. I agree.
I
This,
do too. I
yeah,
agree.
Um,
Yes.
Coming back a little bit to gold, Mario,
yeah.
we've been talking for some while about the fact that gold has been leaving the exchange traded funds, but we've got now the figures for the first quarter of 2025 up to the end of March, and I think there may be a weekly figure for April. We've seen a very large increase in the number of tons held by the gold ETFs. In 2022, net selling in terms of tons, 23 net selling, 24 net selling. But the first quarter of 25 has seen a surge, mostly coming in March and maybe this week, I don't know. But a huge surge of money, not money, tons of gold going into the gold ETFs.
It is
So
money, Clive. Gold.
yeah, it is. Well, yeah, they're buying money. That's right, they're buying money.
That's it.
So what this does show is that the interest from the American public, the average investor, the sort of guy who has his Robinhood account and buys things on the stock market, in other words, instead of buying physical silver or gold like he should, he's buying the ETFs. that interest is reviving. And yeah, so if it carries on like that, we'll have a lot of money going into the ETFs. I've got the figure here. In Europe, we had 54.8 tons went in the first quarter into the ETFs. In the USA, it was 133.8 tons. And in Asia, it was 34.3 tons. By the way, Asia had positive every year, but the other regions had negative. Um, so we've had a lot of tons of gold going into the ETFs now, and that means there's been a change of sentiment amongst the public, and that change of sentiment will last a long time.
There's a question here from William PMCD. Can you comment on Bix Weir's POV on US gold? What's POV? I'm not sure what.
Point of view,
Oh,
point
point
of
of
view.
view. Yeah, yeah. Well, I have followed Bix Weir on and off for many years, and he's got this theory that there's billions of tons, I think, or ounces in the where is it in the Grand
Grand
Canyon.
Canyon.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's based on a story that came out in the New York Times in 1912 of a group of investors that were prospecting for gold there, and apparently they found, you know, gold exploration. You drill a lot and you make indicated or inferred opinions about how much gold there is, and they said, oh, there's so much gold there, but it's not like they found gold bars. I think it's they found a deposit, but it was too uneconomical to get it, and then I think it was Teddy Roosevelt who turned the Grand Canyon into a national park, and his theory is that the American government doesn't want that gold out, and that's why they turn it into a national park. I don't think he's against gold, but he thinks when people find out about this gold, that the price will collapse and that silver is the place to be. But the other thing I would say, if the U.S. had all this gold stashed away in the Grand Canyon, they wouldn't have a problem having an audit at Fort Knox.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
do you have an opinion on Bix Weir, John Perez, and his point of view about U.S. gold?
I, you know, I've done some work inside the Chocolate Mountains for gold, and I've seen some very unusual, golds. He does talk about the Chocolate Mountains, and I it's you could say these stories here, but at the end of the day, someone has a gold mine. It's like, what's in it? Well, we think, and it's like we got to know when it comes to gold and assessing it, it's got to be, you know, proven and more than probable. It's got to be proven and to be able to assess to be turned into a bankable document. Now, whether that has happened or not, may have. Maybe they've done some secret mining there. Maybe they have. Maybe they haven't. But the United States has a history of hiding and maintaining certain assets so they can exploit other people's assets while they maintain here. I mean, like we have a rare earth problem. Why is Trump in Ukraine banging on Zelensky for rare earth when he should be pushing and promoting rare earth projects and critical minerals here in the United States and getting behind them publicly? Like, hey, let's get in there. So I tell you, it's an unusual situation. But I'm not a subscriber to the Grand Canyon gold thing simply because I just don't know. I don't see enough in there. And I've done a few mining deals in Arizona, big producers, and there's big gold in Arizona. There some super rich deposits I've seen, and we've poured bars there. Silver last time we were at $38 silver. I remember we were working on pouring Dory bars out there in Arizona in the dirt there while the price of silver is going up, and everyone's jumping around saying, hey, listen, you think we can renegotiate this contract? Because silver had gone from like 28, 29 to like 34, 35. And the guys that we were doing a deal, they were biting their nails. They say, we think we're going to get screwed here. We were going to pay this much. Now it's worth that much. You guys are going to take the spread. So, it's hard to say, on that. So I don't really have enough to really comment on that,
Yeah,
that would be and have any validity to it.
yeah. Uh, Scott 49140, have you heard of the Mar-a-Lago Accords? What's your thoughts on it? Well, I'll answer it first and then I'll let Clive answer it. Uh, I mean, there's speculation that instead of having a Bretton Woods uh, a conference, which started in, I think, yeah, in 1944 to redraw the world's monetary system. It would be at Mar-a-Lago, President Trump's mansion or club in West Palm Beach or Palm Beach, and that he would bring maybe the Chinese and the Russians and maybe the Europeans to sit down. Uh, and the reason people have been talking about it, I think, is because Besant, the Treasury Secretary, he said in an interview before even the election that the biggest position of his fund is gold, and that he thinks there's going to be a Bretton Woods-like realignment. I think that's why there's this rumor and speculation of a Mar-a-Lago Accords. Clive?
So if it happens, it'll be Bretton Woods all over again, but in a much worse way. So under the Bretton Woods Agreement, the world got screwed over by being persuaded that they had to take the US dollar instead of gold, uh, in the belief that they could change their dollars for gold, which then turned out not to be true from 1971 onwards. I think if we have a similar conference, it will be the hidden agenda of the Americans will most likely be to persuade the Western nations who are at that conference, or if they won't have any luck with China, but to persuade the Western nations like the UK and Europe and so forth to take 100-year US government bonds at a very low interest rate and ostensibly payable in gold in 100 years. And the Western governments will be sort of persuaded that they can value these things ostensibly at face value, even though nobody in their right mind would take a 100-year bond, even if it is payable in gold. But I think that's going to be the hidden agenda. And I think if I was a foreign government, I'd be reducing my exposure to the 10-year treasuries quickly so that I have less pressure to convert my 10 years into 100-year bonds.
Um, John, have you got an opinion on the
Oh,
Mar-a-Lago
I
Accord?
agree with what Clive said, and this is something I have been saying for a while. I mean, if we see the Treasuries market and the bond market continue to collapse, and the dollar going down, and Trump has, and Clive, you hit the key term, hidden agenda. I believe that there's an absolute hidden agenda coming on, and it falls in along the lines of what you just said, and that is bringing the dollar down. Basically collecting all these dollars and then basically sleight of hand saying, oh, by the way, let's inject some gold under these dollars that we just got back for nothing, and all of a sudden a hidden agenda there. And all of a sudden, hey, by the way, we don't no longer have a petrodollar. We have a gold dollar here. Listen, Trump, Trump is brutal. He would do that. He would do the rug pull on that. Oh, he keeps on saying, we want the dollar rates down. We want the rates down. We want the rates down, which means gold is going to go up. He's kind of indirectly, by doing this, he's kind of indirectly putting pressure on the LBMA and Comex to continue this game. But how long can they play this game where Trump comes in there and he can indirectly take out a manipulation mechanism just by doing that? But as far as the hidden agenda goes, it goes along with the conspiracy I have in that bringing down that dollar, dump the bonds. One of the third largest buyers of Treasury bonds is none other than who? Guess what? Tether and Cantor Fitzgerald, third largest. Now he's Lutnick, who runs Cantor Fitzgerald, also manages the money for Tether, and they're the third largest buyer of bonds. These guys are they've been accumulating for a couple of years here. What are the idea? Hey, we got all our bonds back. It's kind of like reverse splitting a little stock company here. We're just going to dilute and dilute and dilute and then crash the stock. And then when it's all done, we'll buy it all back off the market for nothing. Stock goes from $1, to 10, 99, $1 to a penny is what? That's 99% loss, right? And everyone says, oh, the stock has crashed, to sell it. They don't have nothing. All of a sudden the insiders come in, they buy all the stock at a penny. And they say, oh, by the way, we've discovered some gold. And away we go again,
The old story.
Lutnick was Lutnick's neighbor in New York was Lutnick's neighbor in New York was Jeffrey Epstein, wasn't it?
That's right. Oh gosh, it's like I know you see these names. You're like, well, who's your next door neighbor? I can hear now. Knock, knock, knock. It's
Well,
like that.
Clive, I've got some. Well, I wanted to show the viewers because you've got a new video on your YouTube channel, Clive Thompson. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Uh, yeah, so
That's
I wasn't really talking about gold. It's I've set up a video
There
channel
you
and
go.
I'm going to be mostly talking about stocks.
Yeah,
The title of the one I did today, which is you could go to, it's called Get Rich with Stocks, Price Earnings Ratio, PEG Ratio, and GARP, Growth at a Reasonable Price, Explained. And then I get to a little known feature of that, which most investment managers overlook. But the gist of it is it's one investment style, and I'll be doing many more investment videos on different investment styles
yeah.
as far as equities are concerned. Of course, I will have styles about precious metal investing too, but I'm going to concentrate on equities in the near future. For those who have a portfolio or who want a portfolio and want to know how to buy equities or pick good ones, I'll be telling you how to do it. The more you listen to it, the more you're going to get good ideas and follow the greatest investors of the world.
Yeah, and that's your assistant there as well, I saw.
Well, he'll be my new financial advisors down the line. That's the my 8-year-old. So I asked him at the end of the video if he understood everything, and he said he did. So
Well, I put the link to that video if you guys want to watch it and subscribe to Clive's channel.
thank you very much, Mario. And I had a few comments from some of your listeners, actually, Mario. And I'd like to say thank you so much to all of them. Everyone wrote me really lovely comments, and it was heartwarming, the nice comments I got on underneath that video.
That's good. That's good. So, how do you guys think the markets are going to open in about, what, an hour and 5 minutes? Because we had the news that they've exempted iPhones and or phones and computers, and then Lutnick, our friend Lutnick, John came out and said it's only going to be temporary. So it just, I think, yeah, it's not so clear. If anything, it's gonna markets, in my opinion, they hate uncertainty, and this is just gonna create even more. It could backfire.
Oh yeah. Well, this the whole week was whipsaw week, and I let my people know. Look, you guys, Trump is wagging the dog. Okay, Trump is the tail. He's wagging the dog. Look, he had one of the. No one really talked about this when the stock market took off at 2,500, 2,000 points. They did. I think it was one of the biggest daily destructions of the shorts in history. The shorts just got destroyed. And what has been let everyone know. I said, watch Trump a couple hours before the markets open or when but he said, well, on second thought, we're going to extend our tariffs, and 90 days the market took off. And in the beginning, he said, we're going to be lenient on tariffs. Stock market would go up. On second thought, we're going to double down on China, and the stock market crashed. I thought that kind of whips on uncertainty and volatility. That destroys people. Margin calls left and right. And we finally had the big dump. I think last Friday before last, we had a 2,000 point drop. That's when people really, really, lost. This is okay. Forget it. We're going to gold. Gold was just putting right along, going up there. And now with the shorts being destroyed here, I'll tell you, the day after all the shorts just got crushed this week, the next day, all of our mining stocks, gold stock, flying. And it was great. I mean, it's like everyone was jumping up and down, but we were so happy. I said, look at this. This is fabulous. How many short organizations here are licking their wounds right now, probably thinking maybe on second thought, maybe we shouldn't be shorting silver and gold stocks because they're colossal shorting positions on many of the stock positions that we hold, which we don't complain about. In fact, if anything, I'm happy. Keep shorting it because we saw the activity going in there. I said, let's accumulate this stock. We knew some big short positions there. Every time that stock would kick up, they'd knock it down. And every time they knock it down, we buy some more. We bought some more. So I think we dollar cost average on stocks here relentlessly for the last 6 months. We've been continuing, and it's really paying off. And SILJ, that ETF you showed, that's a major position for a lot of our people. We felt it go down, but then bam, it just bounced right back up, and we hit it. We hit it perfectly. So I think as far as how the market opens today, with the Lutnick, well, no tariffs, some tariffs. They're doing the same thing. They're casting uncertainty out there. And I think that the only thing that can really happen here at this stage of the game is gold is going to go higher. Goldman Sachs came out and said 3,500. UBS raised it from 3,300 to 3,500. These guys, there's a time where you can go against these guys and be right. But fundamentally, these guys know they have to make their declarations now so their clients to say, hey, the market, why didn't you tell us about gold? It's like, well, because Goldman Sachs did and Deutsche Bank did, and now you did, and even Bank of America. So I
Yeah.
think we're going up this week. That's my opinion. I think silver is going to respond. This week, we will get a signal. If silver gets past that 35, 35, 40 range here, then look out. Then look out. We got 37.50, $40 silver, but they can do anything. They can do it. But I think it's going to be a good week for silver equities, gold stocks, as well as spot silver and spot gold.
Clive, what's your view?
Well, in my 50-year career, I've come to realize it's not always the brightest idea to give both a prediction of something, a price, and the time scale on it because they don't always go together. But I think I will make a little bit of a prediction for next week, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me. And this is that we will get more tariff news. In other words, yeah, I think that's a safe one, don't you, Barry? So we're going to get. What does that mean? We're going to get more volatility, and obviously confidence and growth is going to be further damaged.
Oh, and John, just a final, I just want to show here the Masters leaderboard.
Ah,
I know Clive, you don't play golf, but who do
No,
you,
I don't follow that.
what's your prediction for today, John? Who's going to win? Yeah.
McElroy for sure.
Well, apparently he double bogeyed the first hole, but he's back to even par. So yeah.
That's double bogey, then back up like this. I mean,
Oh yeah,
that's
look, double bogey and the birdie and the birdie. Well, let's turn this off anyway.
the green jacket. The green jacket here. I think it's gonna be a great week. I think it's gonna be a great week, and yeah, I think we're looking for. I mean, my position with my people right now is, you guys get ready. Next week could be the best week we've ever had here. The velocity of money coming in was, we had never seen it before. I mean, all of us were like taken aback by how much we came down and how quickly we returned, and then how, because we've been dollar cost averaging these positions for
Yeah.
1-2 years, we were able to get some of these at just triple digit gains in multiple positions now. I mean, there's no other way to say that. We killed it last week, and I think we're going to kill it again this week.
Some Scott is asking again about Mar-a-Lago. I thought we talked about it. Have you seen something credible about the so-called Mar-a-Lago Accords? Well, it's not official. It's just people are speculating that it could be a negotiation at Mar-a-Lago if they sat down to redraw the system. So I haven't heard anything official, and I don't think the Trump administration would come out. I think Clive and John, they're using a lot of distraction, like they're talking about
Yes.
buying Bitcoin and all that, but they never talk about gold or, Besson said, no, we're not going to do anything with gold, because the gold is the ultimate uh, asset of power. But ounces, thank you for your super chat. Keep track of your stacks this week. Oh yeah, I'd like to add that ounces is a good app on it's on the Apple system, not the Android. Ounces, and what you can do there, it's got silver, gold, and platinum and palladium in all the different currencies, and you put the amount ounces that you own of each, and it updates every second. So yeah, try ounces. And so Clive, any final words for the viewers, and then John, and then we're gonna wrap up because it's
Well,
time.
I think John will be right about having a fantastic week next week.
Great. And John, just any final words to the
To
to
your list, your wonderful listeners.
yeah, I mean, like in terms of, I think for me, I would tell the viewers, uh, yeah, try to forget or not to focus on all the noise, but to keep
Yeah.
the bigger picture that they're going to keep inflating the fiat currencies, and you need to keep a hold of your gold and silver or add on. The miners
Yeah.
is a little different. It's more risky and you can trade it a bit more. So just
Yeah, I tell people that once you get your physical pile, your stack, and you hit your goal, hit a number, just bury it and forget it. Don't stare at the screen what it's doing. It goes up. Are you gonna sell it? No. You go. That's your insurance. The stock market is where the if your risk tolerance allows it, you can go in there and if you have a strategy, we have a strategy that's in play. Low risk, mild risk, and high. My focus is on high risk, high reward. I take risks that nobody takes, but that's all I've been doing since 2007. I've been very successful at it. So I think just everyone just relax, enjoy the ride. It's going to be fun. If you're in the stock market right now in gold and silver, then you got it made. I think you got it right now. I mean, you who was it? J.P. Morgan named 8 stocks that to go overweight on. Well, what does that mean? That means they've got tens of thousands of brokers that are going to be on the phone saying, buy this stock, buy this stock. But the phone's going to be ringing. And now, of course, every other little brokerage house that's following JP Morgan, they're all going to be on the phones here, and they're going to be on there moving paper here. And we saw it. I mean, it began the minute I said, I announced it on Tuesday. I go, you just watch, it's going to be a great week. So our stocks are going right back up, and they did. And I said, these
So,
guys are on the phone.
John, I suppose people can Google to find out what these 8 names are.
Yeah, it's on Benzinga. You can go. Yeah,
Okay.
I
yeah.
think it's on my Twitter feed. I put the link on my Twitter feed at Comstock Royalty, and but you can. It's on Benzinga. Type in J.P. Morgan mining stocks and do a search, and it'll be on the website called Benzinga, Benzinga, and it's a great press release. I actually read it live on our feed here,
I hadn't heard
and
about
it's
that.
great.
Yeah. Okay, great guys. Thank you for coming on the live stream. Thank you for the viewers. I think we had over 2,000 concurrent viewers, which is really good. And I wish you all a great start to the week, and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Good night,
Silver to the
everybody.
moon, silver to the moon.
All right. So, okay, I ended the stream. Great.